So, today they're still pushing down on my feet, both of them, and so this foot is getting worse. So, I have right here, right there. So, I've been doing that, and this is getting worse too. Swelling right here, I swear here, I swear here. Wearing comfortable slip-on shoes, brand new socks. There's no reason for me to have the sensation of the shoes crushing down on top of my feet, and for also having electrical sensations going through it, and at times burning sensations going through it, and on the way back home, they keep pushing me left and right, and they keep pushing me forward. While I was walking, they were like doing this a lot. They're pushing me that way. They're having fun with that. It had sprinkled a little bit, and while I was walking home on the sidewalk where it's not slippery, and in the parking lot where it's also not slippery, just from a little bit of water. Again, it was just a mild sprinkling that had happened. They were pushing my shoes to make them more slippery. It was definitely a noticeable difference than shoes being naturally slippery on a slippery surface. They can push your body around like that. They can also push your feet back and forth and frontwards and backwards, forwards and backwards. And they were making fun. They were saying, "Oh, you said frontwards because we said frontwards. Ha ha ha! We made you mess up on that." Right now, they're swirling around my head. I took some aspirin. Because they don't take aspirin and they keep doing it like a motherfucker. They're like doing this thing where they're like going, and they're literally like, as they're doing it, they're literally going, and they're also playing that song. They're saying "Fly to the something," I don't know, like the Nutcracker song. They're playing that right now as I'm saying that to you. And another thing that they're doing is like when I'm walking or smoking a cigarette and I like spit downwards or to the side on the ground a lot of times, or when I'm smoking outside and they'll spit on the concrete, they'll make a Pac-Man sound, that wow, or that sound that when Pac-Man eats a pellet. And then they'll after they do that a few times, then they'll play one of the Pac-Man songs. And as I'm saying that, they're doing it, one of the cutscenes in Pac-Man, or Miss Pac-Man, not sure which one it is. But they're playing that right now. And they're listening to ghost names right now as I'm saying that. But they're doing this thing where they're swirling it around, and they're doing something where it hits inside my mouth, and as I say that, they're increasing it. Even with my mouth closed, it feels like there's like a wind inside my mouth. That feels very weird. It feels like there's something moving, and it has a coldness to it. It sort of feels like a slight frostbite. It sort of feels akin to the frostbite attack. Not quite as cold though. And as I'm saying that, they're literally increasing the coldness to it as I'm saying that. So it kind of feels like I'm sucking on like a ice lollipop, and like. And in a somewhat painful way, moving it around the roof of my mouth and towards the back of it. And as they said a few minutes ago, and as when I came inside to make this video, when they were doing it, and as I'm sitting here now describing it, one of the asinine jackasses is saying, "Does it feel like there's a lollipop in your mouth and we're moving it around? Blah 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 blah." So the odds of this being schizophrenic voice is dead, and also suffering the poltergeist that follows me, and it's pushing me around. Pushing me like that, trying to push my feet out from under me, or just threatening to. They're threatening to at the same time, and in advance. They're like, we're gonna make you slip and like break your elbows, something, blah 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 blah, break your head, or break your ass, have you fall on your ass, like that, and then to have that slippery feeling, which is distinct and different from the normal slippery feeling on something that really is slippery. It feels like my feet were being pushed because they were, right before my feet were making contact with the ground, or right as they were lifting off the ground, because they do it in both directions, they're trying to say. And now they're making reference to one direction of the band and blah 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 blah. But the odds of it happening, Dad, are impossible. I don't have the power to foretell the future. They're constantly making things more painful and painful, and they're giving a lot of different reasons for it. They're saying, no, your dad will never believe you. He's not going to do anything about it, so we're just going to get away with doing everything we can. And they also say, we made you the training person for other people in this thing, so you'll never get us off you, because we'll just keep bringing on new people, and we'll train you. And they also say, well, the punishment for what we've done to you and to other people will be so great that what we already did, a few years ago, already maximized what our punishment could be, either death or some punishment worse than death, blah 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 blah. And they're like, our punishment, if we stop now versus stopping in 10 years, the punishment between those 2 points in time will not be significantly different or any different at all. And they're like, we can get away with it anyway, blah 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 blah. We're going to do that. We get paid to do this on duty and off duty. Are we the police? Are we the CIA? Blah 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 blah. So like every single one of those things, Dad, is meant to drive fear and hopelessness further into me, and to push me, further. And they keep saying like, the only way to end the suffering is to kill yourself. Like, and they keep threatening Max. Like every time I go to 7-Eleven and I tie him outside for a second while I go inside, or I go to play fetch with him and take him off the leash to play in this grassy area behind the AutoZone or whatever it is over there. They keep going splat or whatever. We're gonna get we're gonna push them into traffic or blah blah blah. We're gonna push the ball over there, even though it's really far distance. Like every single one of these things isn't like oh my fucking god, do something already. Like god damn it, no one's doing anything. And like thank you for giving them another day of my life. Like every day I wake up and I go outside and I'm like, thanks Dad for giving them another day of my life, which you're not allowed to do under any circumstances, no matter what. You're not allowed to even give them another moment. But by the time I'm making the next video, you will have given them yet another day, or another 2 days, or another 3 days, and countless more moments of my life since, not to mention the decades that you've allowed to have shaved off from the absolutely nothing that you're, the total lack of action on your part. So again, the odds of me hearing schizophrenic voices, and remember I've taken at least 3 meds for schizophrenia that should have had an effect on anyone who was schizophrenic, and we're given enough time to take effect. And in any case, the odds of me having schizophrenic voices that threaten an attack ahead of time and taunt about it during and taunt about it afterwards, and then repeat that at the same time as I'm describing that attack to someone else, and some sort of psychosomatic memory recall sort of thing, is impossible. It's not just virtually impossible, it is literally impossible. So like while you're doing nothing, Max and I are continuing to suffer. We're continuing to make his ear itch. His ear is still swollen. Both of his ears are scabby and hardened. They keep fucking with my ear over here. We don't have ear mites. We don't have fleas. And they'll do that at the same time. And they'll taunt me while they're doing it to him. Or they'll do it to me. Or they'll do it to both of us at the same time. And they're like, your dad doesn't believe you. He'll never believe you. And or he'll just think that you fucked up your ear, because they've done it before. The last time they did it more severely when I was homeless. Like this ear was fucking raw, and they burned it too. They didn't just make it itch; they also burned it and fried it or whatever, and just like they did with my legs. And it was tender, it was sore, it was scabby, it was gross. And like the odds of that happening coinciding with Max having an excessive increase in itching there, while the schizophrenic voices are threatening it ahead of time, taunting about it during, and then taunting about it afterwards, and then also taunting and recreating it as I'm retelling it in a video or being reminded of it by them, is impossible. So thank you again for wasting another day of my life, Dad. Thank you for shortening and diminishing my life as much as possible. Thank you for aiding and supporting terrorists and continuing to protect terrorists over your own son. You cannot be upset with me for saying that, because that is the absolute truth. I said nothing that should be offensive to you. I am extremely offended by your lack of action and what little you have done in your actions, which have only served to insult me, to belittle me, to shove me further down into the abyss of hopelessness and loneliness that you have created for me alongside these terrorists that you continue to aid and support. And it doesn't matter if you don't believe them, because again, the odds of these being schizophrenic voices telling me about things in advance, taunting about it during, taunting about it afterwards, and then recreating those same sensations afterwards while I'm doing a video or while I'm describing it to someone, or just while they bring it up later, and then recreating the attack or a hint of the attack, is impossible. So I'm still waiting on a rescue. Not that I expect one or expect anything from you but nothing, because that's apparently what you're best at. And if you are doing something, it's regardless if you are or aren't, like, you're the most unethical person ever to allow someone to suffer and to refuse them, to be such an obstacle to them, and to be so stubborn on something. You've been wrong on so many things. You were wrong about me not getting my labs done, and wrong about this, and wrong about that, and wrong about me threatening Tom's daughters. So, like, but you couldn't be wrong on this thing that I'm living through, and you're not. Like, you were just wrong on the labs recently, but you couldn't be wrong on this thing that I've been going through for years. When, like, I provided you witnesses, I provided you suspects, I provided you evidence and proof, and over 90% of my YouTube channel and Facebook feed over the past few years would have not been about gang stalking or about this bullshit. So you can't be irritated when I send you these videos, or when Robin tells you about them, or when I make them, or I post them, or I email you, or I text you things, and I'm still going through this. Like, you can't be angry at me, and you can't be offended by that. I'm going through this because of you, because you didn't do what you promised to do. Like, why should you, what do you have the right to be offended by anything? Like, oh my fucking God, I'm suffering every single day because of you, because of you not doing something. I am so offended and upset and disappointed with you, and every single day, it's just a furthering of the disappointment. Not that I expect anything else now, but once again, I've just provided you additional proof that I'm not schizophrenic, that I'm not suffering anything except something that's being caused by a group of people. I even have a text message from a SWAT team officer from APD saying I will do what I want when I want, and some other stupid shit. That's very important, regardless if it's the actual SWAT team officer or one of these people impersonating the SWAT team officer. Either one of those is extremely important, and Mom would have had him arrested by now, back in 2017, along with the two ladies from Red River Family Practice who leaked my medical information to these people prior to them assaulting me, because it wasn't a coincidence that these non-schizophrenic voices were taunting me with information and details from visits to Red River Family Practice over 10 years from before the time that I went to that Saturday visit to have my labs done and to be assaulted there. That is, like, the chances of that happening are virtually impossible, and it is also impossible that I was told that I had gleaned information from thin air from schizophrenic voices that told me that the guy in 3-1 had my stolen phone and hacked my Google account, which I verified via 2 methods when I got my replacement phone. I would have never suspected him or guessed him, even in a paranoid delusional schizophrenic state, because he wasn't the person who stole my phone. I left my phone in someone's vehicle and they never returned it to me. He didn't stay at that hotel, and I have no idea how he knew the guy in 301. I didn't know the guy and never hung out with him. So the odds of me suspecting that or guessing that are impossible, because he wasn't the person who kept my phone from me. So I'm still waiting on a rescue. Not that I'm expecting anything else. Not that you're ever going to watch this video. Not that Robin's ever going to watch this and think anything differently. She's like, no one will believe you. No one believes you. I'm not a liar, Robin, and I'm not crazy. What I described to you is impossible to be occurred from anything natural from occurring within the human body.